Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. And yes, as you know, we actually provide you information about sports from all across the globe. But not to forget, you guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports, which is obviously for Twitter and Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. Yes, New Zealand actually managed to beat Bangladesh by 28 runs on Tuesday. And talking about West Indies versus Sri Lanka. Yes, West Indies actually scored 354 runs in their first innings on the second test. And yes, from the world of qualifying rounds for the FIFA, we're going to talk about Dan James, whose late header actually gave victory over Czech Republic to Wales. And Tokyo Olympics chief prepared to resume safe test events. And yes, those were the headlines. And as you know, we're going to starting off with New Zealand versus Bangladesh, which is surely an interesting victory streak for New Zealand because they've been constantly winning. And to discuss this, we have with us Sharia Malik. Sharia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sharia, we'll start with obviously New Zealand managing to win their second T20. What's your take on it?
Yes, New Zealand is a tough team. We all know, and especially when they're playing at their home, they're totally unbeatable.
Right.
As you told, it's a very long winning streak starting from Pakistan, I guess.
Exactly.
Now they're winning on trot. And Bangladesh side is very weak nowadays. I'm not sure why. Without Shakib, they totally seem to be on 50% of their side they're playing. So there's one T20 left, and I don't think there's any chance for Bangladesh in it as well. And their players, especially Conway, is a real revelation for New Zealand.
Absolutely.
I would say he's a keeper batsman, and after playing 13 matches, he's come up to number 4 ranking.
Right.
And he's playing good innings throughout. We've seen him play in one days as well, and he scored century in one days, 92 not out in T20s as well.
Right.
And he's a big revelation for them. And when you see opening pair starting from Guptill, then having Conway in the middle, Phillips, and then Mitchell in the end also. So they've got bulk of players who can play well, and they can really increase the pace as well. So they're a really formidable team, especially for the World Cups as well.
Right. But if we look at, as I discussed, because they've been constantly winning, that's the thing, but Pakistan managed to win at least one match, if I remember
yes,
that.
As
one
we were
T20.
discussing
Yes.
earlier as well, Bangladesh has never won a single match in New Zealand as well. So that's a major factor for him. When it's such things settle down in mind, it is difficult to win a match in overseas conditions, especially with a team like New Zealand, when you're facing a team like New Zealand, so it becomes difficult. And especially Shakib is not there, Mushfiq Rahim is not there now,
Right.
in T20s as well, so they're not going anywhere. They're having problems in their bowling unit and batting unit both. If the problems were in one side, something could have been done, but they're struggling as a whole team.
But let's, for instance, if we take New Zealand and if we, obviously they have to tour England as well. I think their winning streak will definitely come to a breaking side.
Yeah, of course, England is a tough side, as we all know. They've been beaten by India in India, but it was a tough competition, I would say. There was one match in T20, second last match. I think England could have won that match, and they could have won the series, but it's sad for me.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, like, it was a very interesting match if we look back about
yes,
it.
It was. The whole series was very interesting. What about the T20s and the one days as well? It was a very interesting series, and we can easily say these both teams are at the top right now, England and India.
Right.
And New Zealand and Australia well behind them.
Right. I also discussed this entire perspective with one of New Zealand's journalists, and we talked about how New Zealand will perform when they go to England. And they said it would be a very skeptical situation because of the fact that, besides the fact that it would be a very different pitch and a different environment for them, the coronavirus isolation, they have not faced it yet.
Oh yes, definitely. It is a tough task, of course, when you're going in biosecure bubble for some 40, 50 days without your families. It is tough. And sometimes for some players it can take a toll on their mind as well. So we have to see how they perform in England, but they're a good side, there's no doubt in it, but of course England is a good side too, so it will be an interesting series. Right. And over there we'll come to know the exact value of the New Zealand, new players of New Zealand they're having. when they're visiting an outside country.
Right. I would definitely, I'm sure you all will be waiting for this series. But anyways, we'll go to the next match that we would want to discuss, which is obviously West Indies versus Sri Lanka. The second test day. How was it?
Braithwaite, what can we say about it? He's the new captain for West Indies, and he scored a brilliant three. They were struggling at one phase, I think 5 out for 170 or 160.
Right.
And then Braithwaite stood up, and we can never forget the heavyweight champion Cornwell getting a 50 in first test, and the second test as well. He's got 76 in the second test, and that's why they scored 320 something, I guess, and 354. Rather.
Right, 354.
354,
right.
And now Sri Lanka are following up. They're going good, but let's see how things shape up in the third day.
Yeah, but realistically looking at how West Indies is slowly and gradually going towards their improvement side.
Exactly. Right. It's a very encouraging sign. We always want West Indies to be a good side, and we've discussed it earlier as well when things are right in their board and all the players can play. So it will be an interesting side to see how they play. And they're having some good new talent and players like Bonner, Mayers, and there's some good bowlers as well. Alzira Joseph is doing good. Cornwell is a heavyweight bowler, but he's doing good as well as an all-rounder, I would say. And Holder been captaining the side for a long time now, playing under Braithwaite. It's a big thing, but he's doing well as well.
Right. But if we look at the entire situation right now, obviously Sri Lanka's 136 for 3. And they've also been struggling for a while now. If you look back how they lost against the Proteas, I mean, like they had a series. After that, obviously, the Proteas came to Pakistan and lost against us. So how do you see them? Because they're not in the right frame of mind for now.
They're not, but for this series, they're coming up in the right direction. I guess Thermina, there's a lot of potential in this guy. I've been following him for a long time, and he couldn't score many runs, but he's going good in the series. And one good addition in the middle order, I'm forgetting his name, who scored a century in his debut. So two odd players who can really change the game for whole team, I would say. So I feel that Sri Lanka is a little better than the previous times they were.
Right. Let's hope it goes to the right direction for the Sri Lankans, because I think they're also struggling as well as West Indies. They've also been struggling for a while. So I think they're shaping things up for themselves, not only for themselves, but for the world of cricket. Because the point is, we always would want to see more competitiveness. Yes, absolutely. Anyways, this was it. But let's go to Pakistan touring. That's the most interesting topic that I would want to talk about. Pakistan touring South Africa.
Exactly.
It's, obviously, the series starts on the 2nd of April. But what's your take? How do you see it? The practice is still on. We've seen a lot of tweets, a lot of pictures sent. Obviously, one of the pictures was from Babar Azam himself, sitting somewhere relaxing. But I think they have a stronger body language. And Fahim Ashraf's word was that we are sure that we're going to win this series. So what's your take on the entire?
It will be a very interesting series, I would say. There are a few new players on our side as well. And there are many new players for South Africa as well. So that's a major sign for us. That's a good sign for us, I would say. Boma is the captain. He's the new captain for South Africa. So, of course, more changes in South Africa, and they'll be in a little different, awkward position, I would say. They won't be gelled in the right way. So it might take them a little time. And it's a very good chance for Pakistan, I would say. We can win in South Africa. And we're having a good balanced team right now. Fahim Ashraf is playing very well. He's in form. Shadab has hopefully he's healed his injury, and I hope he can bowl better this time. And we're having two new bowlers. Mohammad Wasim is in, and the other Karachi bowler, I'm forgetting his name.
And one guy, Dhani is also in.
Dhani is also in.
Let's hope he managed to play, because I think he was phenomenal in the PSL.
Yes, he was, exactly. There are a few good players who we marked throughout the PSL when we were talking there, and they're in the team right now, and we hope that they can perform well. And the major point is, I think Sharjeel is back in the side, so to see how he performs against international level teams, and it will be a good test for him as well. And Fakhr Zaman is also back, Sarfraz is also back, so we've to see what the combination they're making for T20s and one-days as well, and who all perform and who all can maintain their positions now.
Let's hope we actually manage to maintain our position as well, which is very true. But South Africa will surely have a bit of edge, because we are the ones who are touring them now.
Of course, on home ground, every team is very dangerous. And South Africa, talking about the bowling attack, it's one of the best bowling attacks they have. And the problem is our batting side, like always. So we've to face those barrage of short balls in South Africa. And let's see how our young players play against those bowlers in South Africa. And one interesting point is addition of Abdullah Shafiq in one days. I think if we would have added him in one days, he should have been given a chance in the series against Zimbabwe or Sri Lanka right here, so that we could have checked him out. Again, after New Zealand, he got a tough series in New Zealand, if you remember, I hope. Yes. And now he's having another tough series against South Africa.
There are a lot of players who actually had a very tough time
in New Zealand.
We talked about Haider Ali to begin with, because Haider Ali's performance in PSL was phenomenal.
Exactly.
But when that's exactly what you told me at one point, that he's a phenomenal batsman. But eventually, what happened was he was literally choked. So we do have that being choked while playing, specifically on the batting side. But I think the most constant individual that I've seen, and he's definitely growing, is Fahim Ashraf.
Exactly, Fahim Ashraf. I would say he's a big revelation in the last 8-10 months. He's scoring consistently. He scored in test matches, in one days, in T20s, and he scored consistently and a good strike rate as well. And his bowling has always been on the better side, and he's bowling good as well. So it's a real revelation for us in the last 8-12 months.
So he's pretty constant. If you know, consistency is definitely the key.
Exactly.
That's something we've always been talking about. The team that has now that we've actually devised, the squad obviously will be announced a day before, if I'm not wrong. So once that be announced, it would be more clearer to us how exactly. So because it's been a while that Pakistan has toured some South Africa to begin with. So it would surely be an interesting take because of the coronavirus situation as well. Because we've been through this once in New Zealand because of the coronavirus thing, the situation. We literally came up to a collapse. I think that was probably one of the reasons.
That was exactly. When you're not following the biosecure environment, things are a little tricky. So you have to follow those rules, what they've set for you. And let's see how things go around. And we hope that there's a big chance for Pakistan in this series. It will be a test for Babar Azam once again, as we've discussed earlier. Since the time he's been captain of our side, his performances himself has gone a little down. So we have to see how he performs, and that will be the most crucial point for us. And especially going in T20 World Cup after this, we have to see if he's able to hold on for that pressure or not. And if he's not able to perform in the way he was performing earlier, so maybe Rizwan might get a chance above him.
The most interesting thing was that at least we had PSL, a bit of it, not the complete series, of course, because of the coronavirus situation again. We really found some serious talent. We did, and I think that's probably one of the reasons I still see as Pakistan is right now with the right team, with the right mettle to face South Africans.
Yes, exactly. The bowler I was talking about is Arshad from the Croatia side.
Right.
He's also in the side, and after the New Zealand tour, we all know our players were totally down on their morale as well. And now, after playing in PSL, the way Haider Ali batted, I hope he's in good touch now and he can play well.
I hope, and we all hope that
we
absolutely hope that he manages to play those straight shots, which is obviously one of his favorites.
Exactly.
But thinking about straight shots, not to forget that they'll definitely be getting the short balls.
Exactly, they'll be getting the. Every time we are very optimistic about our side, but they're also always giving us some surprises, and we're always ready for surprises from Pakistani side, I guess. But hopefully they'll be doing good, inshallah. And we have a formidable team, and
right.
Inshallah they'll be doing good.
Right. Well, thank you, Sharyar, for being with us on the show and discussing the world of cricket. But anyways, guys, this was pretty much it for the world of cricket. We'll discuss more after the break. So see you guys after the break. And yes, welcome back after the break. And yes, we were discussing the world of cricket before the break. But now we'll be talking about the interesting lineup of matches that are currently happening, which is the FIFA World Cup qualifier matches. And the first match we're going to talk about would be Wales versus Czech Republic. And to add more knowledge to this, we have Paul all the way from the UK. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. Well, morning for me.
Great. All right, Paul, we'll start off with Wales versus Czech Republic to begin with. How do you see that? Obviously, Dan James' late header actually managed to make them or give them the victory. Then we can further continue with the rest of the matches.
Yeah, a little bit of a sloppy match, as all of them were. This has been a long, grueling season, and the players are very tired. We're jamming 3 matches into an international window that used to feature only 2 matches, and it's starting to show on the pitch. Wales getting the benefit of a Gareth Bale brilliant ball to Dan James for a header. James has been working on his heading abilities. in the past few months with Manchester United. It hasn't shown on the pitch just yet, but it comes through for Wales. But I think they benefit from the fact that both James and Bale have been a bit on the outskirts at Manchester United and Tottenham, and they haven't been playing as much, and they're fresher. And in this very even match against the Czech Republic, in a match that is very important as both teams vie for that second position that'll move them on to the playoff round.
Right.
Wales gets those two fresher players that just come up with that moment of magic, and it's enough to get them the 3 points.
Great. What about the striker, Czech Republic's striker who actually got the red card, obviously? That is a big upset for them. How do you see that deciding their fate in the future?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome his absence. They need goals. World Cup qualifying in UEFA is very tight. You need to win the matches that you have to win. In other words, the teams that get the matches against the teams that are perceived to be worse than you need to win those matches. And every goal matters. And for a team like the Czech Republic, that they are a very good team, but they can struggle for goals at times. They are going to need to come up with a way to overcome his absence and pick up crucial points in matches that he's going to miss.
True. Anyways, what we'll do is we'll switch over to the next match that actually took place. Obviously, Turkey is currently one of the favorites for now. And Turkey obviously managed to draw the match, even though they won the last two matches. What's your take on that? Because of the fact that, they were awarded a penalty kick, I guess, as the defender was fouled in the area. But, scoring 3-3, which is obviously a draw, and everybody was expecting them to maybe get another victory, which would have been their streak. But how do you see Turkey performing for now?
Turkey are I think they're in a very good spot. They came up with a big win against the Netherlands last week that I don't think many people saw them achieving. So that sort of put them a little bit ahead of the curve, and now they dropped some points against Latvia, which is a bad result. If Turkey want to make this World Cup, they need to be beating Latvia. You can't be conceding 3 goals against Latvia. But right now they're in a good spot. They have 7 points. They lead the group. They're above the Netherlands and Montenegro and Norway. So it's a bit of a setback, but I don't think that many people would have seen them even having 7 points at this stage.
Right. And if you look at the group standing as well, Turkey is still obviously on the top right now. The second number is Netherlands. So if Turkey continues to win, because that is the ultimate goal of the entire qualifier round, because of the fact that they have to win those matches. It's not about how many goals that they would be doing. So how do you see Netherlands being in that group, and would it be a tougher spot for Turkey in the future?
Yeah, I think it will get tough for Turkey. They've had, there's some I don't want to say gimmies, but a few gimmies in this group in Gibraltar and Latvia, but they couldn't even beat Latvia.
Right.
The Netherlands, I still think, are the favorites of this group, although I have serious question marks about them. I don't know if Frank de Boer is the manager that's going to really get the best out of them. But with all that talent they have, they should be able to catch Turkey and overtake them. Right. But for Turkey, they're in the driver's seat right now. It's a simple case of win your matches, and the Netherlands can't possibly catch up to you. Right.
So let's hope all goes well. And as you said that, Netherlands obviously have to link themselves up. They obviously lost one of the matches, which is definitely an upset, but they have to come up to a point because of the fact that right now it's all about getting into the World Cup qualifying rounds. Anyways, let's talk about the third match that took place. We'll talk about Croatia versus Malta. And Croatia actually managed to defeat Malta 3-0. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, this is a simple case of good team taking care of business. Again, you can see the legginess on the pitch from both sides. The fatigue is catching up with the players now, but Croatia are the favorites in this group. They made the World Cup final in 2018. Malta are a very small country. They've never been a competitive country on the European stage. Right. They're going to finish either at the bottom or second to bottom of the group. When Croatia plays them, they should be rolling over them. And maybe it should have been 6 or 7-0, but Croatia will be more than happy with 3-0.
Right, and I still remember how I was supporting Croatia back then. But let's hope for the best. I think it's really, really getting more interesting. How about we just talk a bit more about the groups? Let's talk about an interesting group, which is the Group A. Portugal obviously leading, but let's talk about Portugal as usual, because if we look back into the World Cup side every time, somehow or the other they get stuck to a point of not, doing their very best. How do you see that?
Yeah, Portugal are a very interesting side. I think they're better than I think they're better now than they were 5 years ago when they won the Euros. They've rounded out. They've got some good young talent. It's now a matter of blending that talent with the talent of Cristiano Ronaldo. As long as Ronaldo is there,
right,
Portugal is his team, and it changes from everyone trying to feed the ball to Ronaldo versus trying to spread the ball around. They have some great players: Ruben Neves, Diogo Jota, Bruno Fernandes. They could probably play a little bit more of a team style and rely on different people to carry the load. But that's not how it goes. It's still just trying to feed the ball to Ronaldo. And sometimes that can harm them a bit. Right now they're doing their job. They're top of the group in what is a decently tough group.
Right.
And it looks like that they have set themselves on the right course.
Right. Let's hope all goes well for them. Let's talk about the Group B, which is definitely interesting because Sweden is leading the group with Spain on the second spot.
Yeah, this one very early here. Only 2 games have been played. Spain dropping points against Greece. A 1-1 draw. Greece can do that to you.
Right.
They are a good, solid defensive team. They'll only concede a goal. They score one. If they find one, they can easily nick a point off you. Sweden getting the benefit right now of playing a Kosovo and a Georgia. They haven't faced any of the tough teams in the group yet. There's plenty of time for this thing to change around, and I expect Spain to finish in the top spot.
Let's hope for the best. One last question, Paul. What's your favorite team?
I support England.
All right, England is doing pretty well so far.
Yes, but as they always do in World Cup qualifying, and then we all think that they're going to win in the World Cup, and they just don't.
Let's hope for the best, and let's hope that they manage to win the World Cup for you. Thank you very much for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
So that was Paul discussing his support for England. Obviously, he is from England, so he wanted to do that. But anyways, that was from the world, basic information with regards to the World Cup qualifier matches. We'll quickly jump over to the Tokyo Games. Yes, the Tokyo Olympics obviously they're actually resuming the safe test events, which is Tokyo Olympics has been having a lot of issues because it's a big event, it's a huge event, but they wanted to continue this in Tokyo. So let's hope all goes well. And the test events were halted after a sports event was held from March 6th to March 8th last year. Olympic official also announced that the overseas fan will be barred from the game. So that means they will not have a lot of support due to the coronavirus situation. Let us hope that things go well in the future for the corona situation, because it is very tricky. The wave is still out there, but the games have to be on. So they just said that they'll make sure that there are no other people who can actually come and see the game. But anyways, guys, this was pretty much from the world of sports. If you guys want to reach out to us, you surely can on our social media handle, which is @IndusNewsSports. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.